Hello, everybody. We are back with our next episode. We're currently down half our players. One of them's on their way. Another one might be late, and the last one is out for the day. Um, but we should manage with half our party and see how things go. Um, should be fun. Should be a great experience. We do have the main party member we need right now, given with where we are in the story. So to recap, where we last left our players, they had arrived at the city of Harrington. After coming up out of the mountains, they saw that there was a way that they could jump down into the city instead of taking the clearly defined path. And in the attempt to jump down, Zerdig and Alandiel fell and began tumbling down the mountain, only to be rescued by Sadzi. The players made their way into town, only to find that everybody was rushing to get inside as a mist was rolling in to the city. The players managed to get inside before it got there and were instructed that they needed to remain inside until the morning when the fog dispersed. During the night, Alandiel was attacked by the innkeeper and some of the workers who turned out to be some form of undead, targeting him specifically because of his holy symbol. In the morning, the players were greeted by Orion Harrington, the Golden Shield, um, and protector of his brother Duke Harrington. Sadzi was invited up to the Harrington estate, where she met with Duke. The city is mostly covered in that mist, and Sadzi took Ore, accompanying Orion to the Harrington estate, during which Ore found out that the mist is harmful to those who are not at least partially undead. Ore decided to turn back, leaving Sadzi alone with the Harrington family. Sadzi got a chance to get revenge and information from her father's killers, the gnolls who actually performed the deeds, and asked a few questions of Duke. And that is where we left off. So we have Sadzi in the Harrington estate and the rest of the party in the edge of town where the mist is not rolling in. So Sadzi, you are still with Duke. What would you like to do? Any questions or other information you have for him?
Hmm. I'm trying to figure out a polite way to try to get him to give me as much information as possible about uh this whole being a Dampier thing and is it reversible?
Okay. So he has told you that you can ask him, and he's also given you permission to use the library, but with the instruction that nothing is to leave the city, as he likes to keep the information on their kind secret.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, then yeah, I guess learning to deal with, I guess you could call it the side effects of Dampirism. And if Duke would be kind enough to point me towards um anything that can either alleviate the symptoms or cure it, or how does one get along
Okay.
dealing with the fact that there's this whole hunger for blood thing.
So he'll respond. It affects everybody differently. Their level of hunger is based on the individual. You'll learn to adapt and overcome, but there is no cure. Once you have become a Dampier, you are always a Dampier.
So I'd better get used to toting around flasks of blood. Got it.
Or, you're a great hunter, as I understand it. Find something, kill it, take its blood fresh. In my opinion, fresh is always better.
Yes, but it can't always be counted upon.
Correct.
Hence the flasks.
Yes. Whatever your need is, you'll find a way to deal with it. While you are here, we can provide all of that for you. And you are welcome to stay as long as you wish.
I'm not gonna lie, it's really nice not having people making weird faces at you when you go to the butcher's and ask for whatever gallons of blood they have.
Yeah. Our butchers here, they run out of blood quite frequently. We have hunts out in the forest every other day of everybody going out to catch whatever they can to bring back for blood.
That sounds kind of fun. Does the mist go out there?
It does indeed. It extends into all of the forest.
Okay. Do you hunt during the day or only at night?
We hunt whenever there is a need. The large organized hunt is typically during the day when most of us are up and running and out and about. That should be tomorrow if you would like to participate.
It does sound fun. Sorry, it does sound like fun. And if it's during the day, maybe my friends would be able to join us if it's not too much trouble.
They should be able to join us just fine. Uh, the mist, just like in the city here, is constantly over the forest. It doesn't kill them immediately, so yes, they could join us.
Would they be harmed by joining us? I don't want the hunter to become the hunted.
Uh, it depends on how tough they are, I guess, would be the best way to put it. We have seen people fight off the mist for months. We have seen some succumb to it in days.
Remembers Mazeki's, I'm grievously wounded. Okay, so maybe bringing them, not the best plan. Hmm. Besides the hunts, what else do you do around here? Do you fish in streams, lakes, rivers?
Well, the closest body of water we have is the ocean on the far side of the forest. We don't have many people go down there as the sheer drop and climb is not one most wish to take on, and not many like going in the water themselves. But we have a few people that can manage. I am one of them, though that we tend to do only at night.
Okay. Gosh. Well, you've been very kind.
It's
Can
hard
I
for our kind out in the world, so I try and make this place a haven for them.
fair? Yes, it's not always easy. Um, may I walk around a bit? Um, point me towards the library, I guess, and I can wander my way there.
The library is upstairs, so it is on the third floor.
Okay, cool. I suppose uh, we'll know when the hunters have uh, bagged their quarry, huh?
Yes, tomorrow we will know when they come back. We will know when they leave. So,
Okay. I'm gonna head up to the library then, I think, for a little bit
okay.
and see what I can find.
While you are there, I will have my brother go and check on your friends. Make sure that they are okay in the city.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right. So you head up to the library. What are you looking for?
I guess right now what I'd like to see is there any kind of, I guess, information on how vampirism like might develop? It, like, are cravings for blood going to get worse? Am I going to grow longer fangs, etc.? And if there's any sort of description of vampires who might be around creating Dampier
Okay.
or other vampires.
Okay. So you easily find the information about Dampiers and what creates them. Uh, and it is when vampire blood is mixed with that of a humanoid. And so, just like uh, tieflings are descendants of someone with demonic blood somewhere in their bloodline, Dampiers can only be created when there is some kind of vampire blood in their bloodline somewhere down the line, and then a bite by another Dampier awakens them instead of killing them.
In other words, someone somewhere in my family tree must have been a vampire of some sort.
Yep.
Well, that's going to make the family reunions real interesting.
The question is who and how far back. As far as information on vampires going and creating Dampiers, there's not a lot of information on that. As there's not a lot of information about vampires specifically here, any specific vampires.
Okay. Does Duke von Harrington keep like newspaper clippings or records of like Dampier or vampires popping up around the world?
Yeah, so there is a lot of information there. You find several books that are just volumes and volumes with notes about when and where, uh, not specifically Dampiers, but all sorts of undead popped up, as well as um, attempts to reach out to them. And whether they were brought to Harrington or killed or are still being monitored. And going through in the latest book, you do find your name in there. And it has notes and it says being monitored, invited to the city.
Okay. Can I find any indication as to the identity of who might have changed me? Like based on the notes that they have in the library.
So it doesn't keep track of who turned because that information generally isn't known. And so you'll see a few notes about who turned various people, but with yours it does not have a name.
Okay. I was just thinking that maybe, like this dude was last seen in Bracknell or something like that.
Right. So there are a few people that have been found in Bracknell as well, sort of around the same time as you. Um, but none of them have any name specifically of who might have been there to turn them. But you recognize a few of them as tabaxi names. You recognize some of them as turtle names, as well as some lizard folk names.
Okay. Hmm. Can I find anything on like if there's, say, I guess a particular type of dampirism, like some dampier might like, say, other bodily fluids like spinal fluid or something, as
Uh,
opposed to blood, and if you can use that to track who turned them or not really, or would that be more dependent on their own personal heritage?
Sadzi's like, I want to break the masquerade.
so there's not a specific way to trace who turned you in any of the information that you can find. Um, Most people that find the person who turned them only find them because they return to them or never leave them to begin with.
In that case, I would like to hiss quietly at the books in frustration.
All right.
Because I would like to find out who turned me and why, and possibly get revenge.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so you can continue looking there, but that specific information of who turned you isn't in any of the information that you find. But these records go back thousands of years. And it's all the same handwriting.
And I assume I know this handwriting since it would have been on a letter.
Indeed, it does match your letter as well. Specifically, it matches the signature on your letter.
Well, I'll keep looking while Orion goes and checks on the group.
Okay. So the rest of you, which I guess is just two of you for now, controlling the five of you. uh, Orion emerges from the fog a few hours after taking Sadzi through and comes out. You are all in the inn at this point, I'm guessing. I know you were going
Yeah.
through and looking for the gold and stuff and then just hanging out there.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that we'd be in the inn after 5 hours or 4 hours, however long you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Orion will come in and find you. Be like, I see you're just hanging out. Didn't want to go explore the city at all?
Last time we explored the city, that didn't turn out too well.
We went to jail.
You went to jail for exploring a city.
Zerdig was referring to this city when we got almost murdered in our sleep.
To be fair, we weren't exploring at the time.
Well, we explored our way in, and they didn't like that. So.
Fair. It wasn't because of exploring the city. It was sort of after, but
Yeah.
things have been interesting.
That was because of how you came into the city and the fact that we were not able to stop and talk to you until your friend, and he'll gesture to Alandiel, to cover up his holy symbols before coming into town.
This is me out of character, but yeah, it's just so normal to attack people who have a certain logo on them on site in the city. So
Yeah, that's how
normal.
sports teams work.
So, the city is yours to explore. You can go further into the fog if you wish. You should be alright for a while. You don't want it to be prolonged there, but I can take you and show you around the deeper parts of the city if you would like. Or you can stay in this local area and wait for the fog to roll in, where you'll retreat back inside for the night. Or I can lead you outside of the city, and you can set up camp there to where the fog will never roll in and reach you.
Do they have? Zerdig will ask if they have a artificer shop here or an local artificer,
Uh,
not in the fog.
we have a magic shop, but not in this outer portion of the city.
Understood. So Zerdig will turn to Mizeki and the rest of the group and ask if we want to stay in the city or out of the city, but make it clear that he would rather stay in the city because we don't want to like abandon Sadzi.
Yeah. I mean, we came all this way together, suffered all this. There's no reason to leave her behind entirely. I think in the city seems reasonable.
So Zerdik is usually pretty curious, but hearing that there's no like artificer shop, the magic store is in the dangerous part of town. Given that we were attacked on site yesterday, he's gonna be content just to kind of hole up in the inn and tinker on his on some tools like the gun he's got, and on Z2 his automaton and things like that.
Okay.
Ms. Vecchi will, once it's been made clear, which it seems like it kind of has after a couple hours, that no other people are going to randomly pop in and attack us. Ms. Vecchi would probably go out and wander around a bit, as long as it's clear where he's safe for him to be. Which it sounds like it kind of is, like as long as don't go into the fog, sort of deal.
Yeah. So from what you gather there, from what people have told you, is that the fog is definitely dangerous to outsiders, but it's not going to kill you instantly.
Yeah, and it did eat part of Ore, so
Ore seems a bit weird since going into the
that
fog.
sad about it.
So,
Is he still talking on slow?
that was a character decision. I think he said yes, he was. So yes, that
Poor
was not
Ore.
an effect of the fog. That was just a pure character
That
decision.
was just a choice. He was sad about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think at this point, Mizuki would probably pop out and because this is a new place with new people, and the imminent threat of murder is past or appears to be past. And he spent a little bit of time making sure things are okay, and so at this point now would be wander around, I guess, if he has the chance.
Okay.
I think Ito would probably go with Mizeki.
All right. So wandering around the city, there are a few places that you can find. So there's just the one inn that you guys are a part of, but there is a tavern called the Spectral Stein.
That sounds fun. What sort of things do they offer? I'm gonna go in there and see what's going on with that.
So it is a typical tavern. So this is where you'll find food and a drink, and they accommodate a wide range of uh, dietary restrictions
Uh
or
huh. Okay.
indulgences, however you would like
Okay.
to phrase that in your mind. So they have food for you guys as well, but they definitely specialize in rare.
Okay. Not super huge on rare. Do they have just like plants?
Oh yeah, they have
Plants.
plants, and they'll
Okay.
cook your
Cool.
food as well. Like they'll cook your meat
Oh,
to
okay.
your
Cool. It's not
specification.
like a choice thing. It's okay. It's an option, and that's their specialty.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like at this point we're gonna be here for a while, right? So I guess he'll try and see is there anything that to do that doesn't involve dying to the mist. Like, because
Yes.
dying is not on his list of things he wants to do.
Yeah. So there's not much in this little city, um, in this outskirts for people to do. To venture further into the city, you'll need to enter into the mist, and there is a lot to do in Harrington once you get there. But that is just a risk you have to decide if it's worth taking.
If I remember right, I was the only one that could just die. Actually,
You are the one that
when it says there's a load of con save that I could just like never recover.
has a weak constitution. You get hurt
Yeah.
very easily.
I do. I'm very frail.
Hmm.
I feel like I want to try maybe popping in sometime if there's something particularly interesting. Like pop into my vessel, pop out when we get there, and then leave shortly thereafter. See if I can use that to avoid some of the travel time for being in the mist. But like I don't want to just go in and wander around and risk dying.
Okay.
So I will likely mainly hang out at the tavern place and just wander around the various small amount of buildings available to me.
All right. I imagine Ito will probably be joining you in the tavern. Ore would probably be staying back at the inn, just kind of trying to figure out what's going on with himself. Zerdig, what
Yeah.
do you want to be doing?
So Zernig will just be tinkering. That's kind of his hobby. So I'll probably be working on his gun a little bit. He's got a chain, like we've mentioned a couple episodes ago. He's got a chain on that to his belt because oftentimes in combat he'll like use his sword, which we've actually never seen him use yet, and then use his pistol as his range weapon, and then he can drop it and it'll kind of like hang there. So he'll like do things like check those links and make sure they're all up to date. He has some like the opposite of goggles of the night, goggles of the day, since he's a dark elf. So he'll look at those and make sure that the filters are all correct and things like that. But for the most part, I mean, he's not staying only in his room, but he's sticking around to the inn, making sure that Ori is okay, things like that. So a lot of housekeeping type things. He doesn't really have a goal right now, other than to kind of just wait for Sadzi, make sure that she's okay, and then he'll keep his eyes on the town to see if there's anything odd happening, like those three gnolls that ran past us and whatnot. But overall, his impression, if he had to give a review of this city right now, it'd be 2 out of 5 stars on Yelp because he's not a big fan of it so far.
Yeah, and it's definitely understandable for anybody who doesn't have any connection to the undead. So
Yeah, and he's not particularly planning to have a connection to the undead. I mean, sometimes these things just happen to you, but he's not really interested in going and eating all the raw meats or trying to figure out how to become a vampire or dhampir, or he doesn't even know the difference probably in character right now. So yeah, that's kind of what he's doing, just minding his own business, waiting for the others to return.
okay. I imagine Alondiel would probably join Mizeki and Ito at the Spectral Stein, and Orion will accompany the three of you as well. So that leaves Ore and Zerdig back at the inn, tinkering around on various artificer things. So Sadzi, was there anything else specifically that you were looking for in your library?
Mostly, I mean, if I can't find more on the specific things I was looking for, I'll probably just kind of poke around and see what interesting things I can find on the shelves.
Okay. So there is a lot of interesting things here. Um, a lot of it you can find elsewhere because this doesn't just have information on the various types of undead, but it has a lot of historical information as well. And it has information from before the Age of Kings, from the Age of Folly in here, talking specifically about the city.
Okay. Well, I mean, trivia and all is kind of interesting, so I'll probably just kind of wander about, read various things.
Okay. So you're going to be left to your own devices if there's not anything specific you want to know about. Um, is there anything specific that anybody wants to do in the evening while you're drinking at the tavern or working on your things?
I'm gonna
No.
see. I'm hoping that Harrington has a very nice table prepared.
I mean, at this point, the resting without trying to be murdered is the goal, I guess.
Okay.
I don't have anything
Yeah.
immediately I'm working on, like side project wise.
Well, and since the entire staff of the inn is dead, did new staff come? We probably have to close all the shutters and stuff ourselves. From the mist, that is.
Yeah. So new staff will be arriving throughout the day, but yeah.
Is this a family-owned establishment? Are they going to be mad that, you know, their kin tried to murder us and then we counter-murdered them?
It is.
Well, it's not
We were
murder if it's
told
self-defense.
we were told that it was fine, basically, and that it would be accepted as like stuff happened. It's not our fault.
I
Zerdig
mean,
is not going to sleep very well tonight because, wow.
what you were told specifically is that they will make sure that their family doesn't come after you. You were not told that it was okay, but
It's fine.
yeah.
There won't be consequences.
It'll be taken care of.
So Zerdig and Alondiel are going to work something out where he trances for 4 hours and then Zerdig trances for 4 hours or vice versa. So someone's always awake and at the ready.
I mean, your trances, you're aware, so.
True.
Because if you were not, the previous night could have gone by worse.
True. Facts.
So, all right. So in that case, do you want to talk with Orion at all, Mizeki, while you're there with him drinking?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Gonna-
What do you want to talk to him about?
Which one is Orion? Just
Orion is the Golden Shield and the brother of Duke.
okay. Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So he's got his blonde hair and, as you guys so lovingly
Yeah.
referred to it last time, his porn stash.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Trying to figure out. I guess Mizeki doesn't mind because the murder thing's been solved. I'm just trying to figure out what his stance on him is. I
What?
guess he'd mostly his stance on Orion, like how he feels about him. Because the murder thing's been solved. They're not the dwarves. So we're probably at calmly neutral, slightly positive, because council related stuff.
Yeah. Like, he's someone that you've seen from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So,
And I know he works at the council and all that jazz. I probably want to ask him about where he's traveled lately. I feel like, yeah. So Mizeki, while they're drinking, just be like, "So, been anywhere exciting besides Cloudy Town?"
Cloudy Town.
It's always cloudy.
You mean
My waves are
Harrington?
hand up to the sky. Yeah, Harrington. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, the
I
city.
just got in, and there's been a lot of things happening since we arrived, so I didn't have
Right.
time to remember the name.
Yeah, the city is named after our family. We have been here since it was founded, many, many years ago now. And I go wherever Duke goes. And ever since the catastrophe that occurred at, well, I guess not at, but during the King's End Festival, with the temple being destroyed and Ayabar being killed, Duke hasn't wanted to leave Harrington very much.
That seems like a fair stance. Particularly in that I imagine that there might be other attacks attempted and whatnot.
And people in the city took it hard. Harder than probably most other places. Ayabar, easily the most worshipped divine here in Harrington, given that he himself is an undead. Or was.
Yeah. That makes sense. Have you had anyone investigating that? I mean, I imagine you've probably got some long-lived scholars or such here.
We've sent out feelers and have a few people out investigating to find out what is going on.
That's good, I guess. There's been a lot of not knowing what's going on all around, I think. Kind of terrifying into the world stuff. It's great.
Yeah, and that's in addition to the normal things we're watching and keeping an eye on, and it's busy.
Yeah. I imagine that amped up your time requirements quite a lot.
Yeah.
Huh. Bunch of okay. How do you guys do long distance trade? By the way, do you like send out? I guess because you can be in the sun and all, that's not a problem.
Some of us can.
Okay, that varies. Good to know.
Yes, not everybody in Harrington likes the sunlight.
Fair. We don't have any people that are particularly sunlight attached. It's just nice to have, I think, for most of us.
I would agree. You can see a lot better when the sun is out, for most
Yeah.
people.
This all is very strange. Just want to say, like, it's a place like you contact people, right? When they've developed the community related issues. Like people don't just randomly come here because they know it's where they should be.
Yes. We monitor first, and when we feel it's appropriate, we take action. And whether that action is inviting them to the city or elimination for the safety of everybody, we take that action. We don't want people going around causing chaos and spreading fear. So if we find rogue undead who can't be saved,
Makes sense and is probably appreciated by people who might encounter said rogue undead. Oh, so besides the grand world-ending threat, anything a group of wandering heroes might want to look into?
uh, let's see here. Not in our nation. We're pretty good here. But if you haven't noticed, we're pretty isolated. That's really a big reason why we're good. Uh, have you been through Typhon's Folly? Or I know you came through the mountains because of the way you jumped into our city.
Stylishly, yes. That is how we entered the city.
That's
Uh,
a
I
name
don't
for
believe
it.
we've been to Typhoon's Folly, no.
Mm. So, I don't know the full details, but we send feelers out to gather information from various places. And what we have learned is that in the hamlets in Typhon's Folly, children have been going missing.
Oh, well, that's not good.
No. No, it is not. The place is dangerous for everybody. We don't understand why people choose to live there. People are weird.
Yeah, that is a thing that they are. All of them. Everywhere. Usually not violently weird, which is nice, but sometimes they are.
Yeah. Everyone
That,
has a different level of tolerance.
yeah, I
Some
guess
of
barring
us
anything,
just do our jobs as much as we
yeah,
don't like it.
I guess. Oh, here's a question. You have a very long and storied library, given everything. We are also investigating a temple that is in my brain has forgotten the word for the place. Fertile Blessing, I want to say.
Fertile Blessing, yes.
It's a temple that supposedly can restore plant life to an area. And we're investigating that on behalf of Utra.
Well, I can tell you for sure that that is true. But I can also tell you that nobody knows where the temple is anymore since the Age of Folly. The temple
Well, yeah,
has been hidden.
if it exists, it can be found.
It does
So
exist. Well, it did
uh,
exist.
it did
And
exist.
it did do what you believe that it does.
Okay.
Uh, in fact, our forest is one of its many wonders.
Mizeki is going to be very visibly pleased about this. Um, so in his head, he's got now. This is the real thing we can trace down potentially, and also children are going missing, and that's not good. And we should probably check that out because we're nearby-ish,
Yeah, so Typhon's Folly, had you guys not
north of us,
taken,
right? Yeah.
yeah, had you not taken the portal to Mint and then gone through the mountains, you would have come through Typhon's Folly to get to Harrington, and then past Blue Lake.
Yeah. So it's basically just north of us.
Yeah, it's a little ways north, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little ways off, but cool. I don't have anything else major I want to ask him. I mean, this is a strange place.
hmm and this whole time you guys are drinking, and you can tell that he's getting drunk, and
God.
he's becoming more free with his speech as you go on and ask questions. At the first,
Okay.
like, he was a bit hesitant on some of the things, but the
I'm
later
gonna
you
ask
go,
him. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him if he knows anything about releasing elementals trapped
uh,
in artifacts and whatnot.
yeah, sure. I've known people to do
Just
it a
'cause,
time or two.
yeah, we've come across some things on it, and it was something I think interested us as a group. So any sort of research on that would be useful.
Yeah. So it depends on a lot of different factors. Um, what kind of elemental, where they're trapped, why they're trapped, who trapped them. Uh, what do you got?
I'm gonna mentally ping my good friend inside my head slash ring. Uh, do we know? Does he know why he was trapped or how? Like I know he's an air elemental.
hmm You know he's an air elemental. And you ping him.
I
What
know.
are you asking him?
I mean, he can hear the stuff. Does he have any of this information? Because this
Yes.
might be useful to us.
I do not know the reason that I was trapped, but I can tell you that I was trapped by an archmage many, many years ago. A human by the name of Julia.
Okay. So I will convey. We know there was a human archmage, Julia, and we're not certain on the element, but our guesses are air or earth.
Well, I mean, you know he's an air elemental.
We
Okay.
don't want to give. If this is enough information to be like, oh, that's Thunblad the Destroyer, and he killed everyone.
Okay.
We don't want to like immediately like make it clear. I'm talking about a specific one.
Mm,
You got to be sneaky.
right. Okay. He goes, so an air or an earth elemental trapped by an archmage. Alright. So you'll need to track down the spell book that the archmage used and find the spell so we know exactly how they got trapped. Then you're going to need to find the item that they're trapped in and bring the two together. And once you bring the two together, you should be able to perform the spell, the ritual, and release them.
Seems simple enough. Minus the whole probably been missing for thousands of years. Okay.
Not to mention, if the archmage is still alive, you don't get their book.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's not a. You don't. It's not like a borrowing from the central library sort of deal where you pop in and say, "Hey."
Yeah. And if they find out you're trying to free an elemental that they trapped, they probably wouldn't be too happy. I know I wouldn't be. Trapped things are
It's
never good to be
it's
set
more of
free.
a certainly, but it's more of an exercise and a mental thing. It's not. We've seen a couple references and things, and it was something we weren't sure about, and so knowing this that helps. We could maybe learn
Mm.
some new things. See if we come across anything new on our travels.
Yeah, you know what you should definitely be careful of though? Letting a trapped creature influence your mind. It does bad things to you.
Worse. It certainly does. I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's been a he just kind of drifts off his sentence, just kind of ends.
Here's a question for you. How does eating work for you as compared to alcohol? Because, like, if I drink a lot, right, I can eat something kind of heavy and a little greasy, and that helps. It doesn't solve the problem, you know. That's the thing you solve before you drink too much. Does it work the same with the blood stuff?
I mean, I don't just drink blood. I eat all sorts of things. I just have a particular hungry for things that contain a lot of blood.
Oh, so you can eat other stuff. Fine.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was like an allergy kind of thing
No, just
or
an
if it was
intense craving.
okay, so like me and candies. Okay,
Yeah. Oh, and if
cool.
I don't satisfy that craving, I tend to go a bit crazy.
Okay, so like me and candies. Good good to know. That's all right. At this point, Nizeki doesn't really have anything else he immediately wants to know that I can think of,
Okay.
and no one's prodded me to say, "Hey, bro, you forgot." So I'll probably head back and check in with the others.
All right.
The other two people at your dinner are now here in real life, though, as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Are they?
Ito's
Woo.
here. Yeah. Hi,
If
Ito.
they have any
You've been
questions.
here. We can convey what we've learned. But if he's drunk, and we're hanging out with
Yeah,
the counselor bodyguard.
he was quite drunk.
Yes.
He, just to check on my mic quality, because I don't know
You're
which setup Discord is using.
yeah, you are like inside of a can,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
far
using the more
away.
muffled, far away one.
What
The
what
worst
about
one.
you, Alondiel, while Ito is checking their settings?
Just trying to not draw attention to myself.
Okay. Anything
'Cause-
that you want to ask of Orion while you've got him here and he's drunk?
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah, how he became what he is, if he's willing to share.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean by how I became what I am? Like, how I became a golden shield? Or how I became my brother's protector, how I became a Dampier,
That
how I
one.
became. Oh, okay.
I want to know all of them, honestly.
Um, so it starts, and you can see him pause to be thinking. 2003, no, 427 years ago.
A very long time. All right.
Yeah, my great grandfather decided he wanted to start a town. Uh, he was a vampire, and he wanted a place safe from those who would hunt him. So he traveled through the Hand of God mountains, and when he came out, he saw an open area in between the ocean and the mountain, and decided he could make this home. He started building under the cover of night a place to live. Slowly, he started bringing in others, and the city grew. Eventually, he went out and found a bride. She was just a human, not a vampire like he was. They gave birth to my grandmother. And my grandmother was a Dampier. And then she gave birth to our father. And then our father married and gave birth to me and my brother. Well, my brother first. He's older by 2 years, and he never lets it go. So, yeah, I was born a Dampier. I've been one the entire time. Uh,
What happened to Grandpa?
he lived for many, many years. Um, it was he that caused the folly that caused the fog to descend upon our city. Eventually, my brother decided it wasn't good for him to be around and took over and sent my grandfather away. I miss him. He was always kind to me.
That fog I hear is pretty potent stuff. When Grandpa made the village, did this place always? Well, let me reword that. Did he bring beings, people of similar conditions with him? Or did he set up like a little homestead and then like make people similar to him?
So he set up a little homestead, and then he went out and found others similar to him at first. And then he went out and found others who were tolerant. Like I said, that is how he found his wife. He didn't turn the whole city, if that's what you're getting at.
That's one of the things I was wondering. It's good to know.
The fog turned most of the city. Those of us that weren't already became.
Prolonged exposure can lead to that type of condition.
Yeah. It's why it's a safe place for us.
I can see why you don't advertise to the outside too much about this.
It's why no one has our address for our circle. We don't want them just dropping by and we're not prepared and they get to become something they don't want to be. But if they want to be it, then by all means, come on in. The fog is fine. You'll feel better.
Our one of my companions came back and he was not feeling very good after being fogged. I'll take it as a different temperament between our types. How'd everything go with Sadzi when you guys went up there?
She seemed to be fine. My brother gave her a gift, something she seemed excited to receive. And then she kept asking about a library, so she went to the library. And that was when Duke said I should come check on all of you. And then here we are, drinking.
I should be okay as long as I keep my you know what's covered, right?
Oh, yes, yes. No, don't let anybody see that you worship. He just kind of stops himself and he goes blank and he goes, just don't let anybody see.
Keep it in your cloak.
Oh, I make sure I double check that it's in its sleeve pocket, secured well.
Oh, your brother. He seemed particularly interested in pursuing our group member.
Yeah, it's not the first one he's done like that.
That's a little weird. Just saying.
He's lonely. I get it. We're
Fair.
old. I've been around for a very long time.
Probably not finding much company with similar life experience at that age.
No.
Ito, quite heavily into the drink by now, just very loudly says, "But how old?"
I am myself 2200. About. You stop counting after you reach your first 1,000.
Well, that seems inefficient. Then you wouldn't know. Well, I suppose you would know when your birthday is. You just wouldn't know which one.
It tends not to matter when you get past a certain age. It's just another day.
I suppose there would be enough of you. It would be almost every day, really.
We don't have to worry about Grandpa making another fog folly, do we?
Oh, no, no, no. He's long gone. And Dad got killed by the Kingslayer. Um, that's when Duke became counselor. Uh,
That must have been really weird.
he was
'Cause
actually a real nice guy. Larrick.
Dad or the Kingslayer? Oh,
Oh, Larrick, the Kingslayer.
I
So,
mean, it sounded like he kind of committed to something and followed through with it, which is rare, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, my dad wasn't the best ruler, but we kept to ourselves. But he came around and my dad refused to renounce his kingship and his ability to rule, and didn't want to step down, retain his title, and have elections determine who would lead our nation. And so he was beheaded. It was brutal. He lived for quite some time after the Age of Kings. I think he only died 200 years ago now? 300? Your history books would tell you otherwise, though. He became very private after he stopped all the kings.
Hmm.
But
Wild.
he was around for the first few years as the nations were getting set up and the counselors. Did you know they tried to make him king? They thought that's what he wanted, and he was trying to unify the entire continent under his rule. But he refused. He was like, no, I didn't do this to become the king. I did this to stop the kings. It caused too much pain. I hear his son's still around.
Neat.
Yeah.
Where does his son hang out?
Oh, they still live in Drusus. I think. Okay. And he leans into you guys and he drops his voice and he goes, no one's supposed to know. But this year, they're unveiling a statue at the King's End Festival. And the Kingslayer's son is going to be there to honor his father. Because it's a statue of the Kingslayer. But shh!
I'm very concerned that may relate to all of the things happening with the gods.
I have some other concerns. I am not, let's say, terribly historically in the know about your part of the world.
It's because we're
How
very
old?
secretive.
No, more about just your continent. Don't worry about it. It's that's its own little story. I'm more worried about uh hmm, let me think here. I've had one too many ales. Perhaps
Me
seven too
too.
many. Um how old was the Kingslayer that he has a son still? I thought it was like the 600th or 6,000th or whatever anniversary this year.
Yeah, 600 years since he put him down. And that's when your history books would tell you that he, you know, stopped being relevant. But like I said, he only died like 200, maybe 300 years ago.
It's wild.
I may not be terribly good at math, but I feel like there's. Oh, right, you have elves here. Was he an elf or?
He was half. They live a long time. And there are ways you can extend your life.
I wouldn't know. My homeland is primarily the shorter.
Uh, question. Out to um DM, not to Orion. Um, what would I know about can be how a being would ascend to godhood, similar to like how we have like we worship divines
Hmm.
who are racial. So
Okay.
that
Make
yeah.
a religion check.
$16.
Okay. So you know that it takes a lot to ascend to divine status, and that in order to do so, you must first um, amass a group of followers and believers in your abilities. And then that must carry on into the afterlife. And they must continue going on and sharing with you about you. And then from there, you don't really know what happens. You believe and understand that it would make sense for the other divines to take interest at that point, but it's not really clear on what happens.
Okay,
You
that's
do,
helpful.
yeah, you do know that it was Ayabar who first gave his life to bring others to divinehood. And so he was the first divine, and when he became the bloodless god, the undead, was him essentially giving his power to others to bring them into divinehood. And that's where you get a lot of your greater divines.
Okay.
Wild.
Wild and crazy. All right. Anything else that you all want to ask of Orion while you're here?
What's the Kingslayer's son's name?
Uh, so his name. Let me go to my notes.
He says that in character. He pulls out a notebook with copious notes on people while he's completely drunk.
Yeah. Do-do. His name is Eldir.
Thank you.
How do you spell that?
I dropped it in Discord.
Oh, there it is. Okay. My Discord was freaking out.
Yeah, that was happening to me a lot yesterday.
Ito, anything that you wanted to go over?
I don't have to worry about those people like making their families making a move on us tonight, do we?
No. I already talked to them, gave them a bunch of money. They lose it if they go after you, so. Plus, I don't think they want to die like you did to their family.
In my defense,
They attacked
they
you.
tried
Yeah.
to eat me in my sleep.
Yeah. Just next time you're invited to a place that you're not familiar with, don't just like drop in like you did. Like, come in through like the gates. I spent
That is
all
what
day waiting for you guys. We knew that you were getting close.
I I feel like that could have been mentioned in the only message we ever got.
We didn't know when you were coming.
Well,
just-
in
Yeah,
their
but you could have
defense,
just said in the message, like,
like,
make sure you come in through the gates.
I don't think they anticipated us jumping down a cliff, and my back still hurts.
Has no
Sure.
one ever tried
like-
that before? It seems
Yeah.
so obvious to me.
No one
And
has
it's
ever
not a very
survived that
high-level
before.
spell. It's not a high level magic, right? It's a relatively common magic.
It's a high jump.
It wasn't for me. Some of us managed to jump successfully.
Hey, it was slippery ground, okay? Those rocks gave way. And noted, I will not make cliff jumping a thing.
Mhm.
Main gates,
Fair.
definitely going forward.
See,
Yeah.
now the next time we should have come through the cliff. I'm sure this will bite us in the butt at some point.
The cliff ground my butt pretty good. I'd rather go through a gate.
Yeah, just remember, rocks can fall and kill you when you're on the cliffs.
And notably, they cannot do the same when we are in the air soaring away from said cliff. Or if they can, we're just very unlucky.
You know, I'm glad you guys came. We don't get many visitors here. And you know, it really shows that you guys can be accepting. Sadzi told us that you guys like her, or at least don't hate her. Her words, not mine.
Sadzi's
If
been
it
great.
helps, to be entirely honest, we also did not know, or I did not know. I don't know about you lot. I did not know any of this until roughly 5 hours ago. I've lost track of time recently.
Makes sense.
Out of
I was
out of
vaguely
character, I
aware.
know it's been more than 5 hours. Ito is many, many ales in.
Yeah, so is Orion. All right. Anything else that you guys want to ask?
I'm out of things.
Okay. All right. In that case, is Sadzi back? I noticed that she had stepped
Yep.
away. Okay. Anything else that you want to do in the library before you return to your group of friends? Or do you want to stay up in the Harrington estate?
I don't know. I don't really get an opportunity to stay in fancy estates and stuff. Is there food?
There is plenty of food. The whole time that you're there, you basically have servants that you can call on that will bring you whatever you want.
But there's not like a formal dinner or anything that I need to make sure I show up to.
No.
I should probably let the people I'm traveling with know that I am not dead.
I believe my brother would have told them that. Although he is not back yet, so who knows what he has done with them or told them, or they have with him.
Maybe I should stay here if something dangerous is going on uptown.
It's unlikely that anything dangerous is going on. He, likes to get away from time to time.
Fair enough. Well, I suppose I'll head back to town.
I, understand. If you would like to stay here, we have a nice large room for you to stay in. And you'll have people that can come attend to you throughout the night and in the morning. But I understand if you want to go with your friends.
Go back and potentially have to share a room with someone snoring, or so. How badly are my group members gonna think of me if I choose to stay in the plush estate now?
If I were them, I would think you made a smart decision. They could come stay as well if they would like. We can go offer the invitation to them.
I thought they couldn't come through the mist without being harmed.
I mean, it won't kill them immediately, or it shouldn't if they're tough. So,
I have one group member who can barely take a scratch without being grievously wounded, so I doubt that would be effective. But I will take you up on your offer of a room to stay the night. That would be lovely.
very well. All right. And he takes you and leads you in to a massive room up on the 5th floor of the structure. And it is essentially the entire size of the entry room at the inn where you guys were staying before, with just a single bed in it, as well as several furniture and places for you to work around. But it's definitely just a single person room.
Cool. Thank you. This is terribly luxurious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it has your own tub as well as places for you to wash up, things like that. Water is pumped in. This place actually has some form of indoor plumbing. And so it isn't brought in buckets. There's actually taps that will fill up in here.
So what we're saying is, I can have a nice bath.
What we're saying is you're in the life of luxury right now, and nobody else is.
Oh dear, whatever shall I do? I guess I'll just have to enjoy it.
All right. So the rest of you, as night is coming in and the fog begins to roll in, Orion starts escorting you out of the tavern. It's like, are we just going back to the inn, or are you guys gonna outside and not worry about the fog?
Back to the inn. Back to the inn.
All right, and he starts ushering you guys over there.
Yep.
It's like, okay. And he begins to stumble his way back up into the city proper.
You gonna be okay? Making
Yeah.
it back?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Is there anything anybody would like to do for the rest of the evening as you are in the tavern or in your nice, luxurious bathroom, bedroom combination?
Ito probably would have insisted to help bring him back.
Okay. Yeah. I'll are you meaning Ito needs help getting back?
Yes, Ito needs help getting back. He's
Yeah.
drunk.
No,
I'll help Ito. I'll
no,
help
no.
Ito get back.
Ito is offering to Orion to help bring him back.
Oh,
Yeah. You don't want to do that. That fog is not good. Ori had a
Maybe
bad time
Ito
with it.
does. I mean,
It can't be that bad. I mean, I'm a
follow your
gladiator.
dreams, Ito.
I'll figure
Follow
it out.
your dreams.
I mean, the guy did just tell you at dinner that anyone who wants to become a Dampier here is welcome to.
I believe in Ito. Mizaki's not going to stop him at this point because he kind of thinks it's funny, and also he's interested to know what will happen.
all right. So, Ito, are you accompanying Orion up through the city proper?
Yes, and Ito highly expects that he is like, you know, guiding him home, despite him really being just as bad or worse.
Okay. So as you pass through the gate where the fog is just barely extended beyond as it's coming into the smaller portion of the city. I would like you to go ahead and make a Constitution save.
I forget, are we still doing those through Beyond or in the command in the Discord?
So if you do it in the streaming bots channel, that's connected. But really, I only care about that when I've got Fantasy Grounds up, because that's when I've got rolls up as well. So
Right. Okay. Let me get the sheet open. I forgot I never imported him to Discord.
okay, yeah. So if you just want to roll it in D&D Beyond while you do that, that's fine.
That will be an 18 total.
Okay. So with that, you do feel your energy begin to drain away. So for you, all healing is reduced to half effectiveness.
Okay. Ito probably like sways a tiny bit as that kicks in. He's like, did I have that much? Oh well. I won't be in here terribly long, I don't think. I'll just get you back to wherever you're going.
Orion just kind of looks and he goes, "Oh, you decided to come stay with me, huh? Oh, it's nicer."
I figured I could get you home.
And he leads you up through the city. And you can see here there are plenty of people out and about on the streets with what little visibility you have through the fog. For you, though, the fog never lifts like it did for Sadzi. You never adjust, you always just see everything as lightly to heavily obscured depending on how far away it is. But eventually you reach a gate and are brought into the entryway and then led into the Harrington estate. And Orion goes, let me find you a room. We'll put you to bed.
My thanks.
And
Not the way he said it, but just like the implication.
he stumbles up to the fourth floor and finds a room, opens it up, looks in, and goes, yeah, no one's in here. You can use this one.
My thanks again. You really are very hospitable.
Yeah, we try.
I just want to say I love there's these two drunk bros, and they're just like, dude, yeah, man, just sit over here. Oh, you've been great, man. You've been great, man. Gotta get you home. They're both totally drunk, and now you're just gonna pass out in the middle of Dampierville.
Okay. So your room, it's pretty nice. It's about 3 times the size of your room back at the inn. And again, just has a single bed instead of 2 beds in it. Um, Anything else anybody would like to do in the evening?
Barricade my door.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Barricade your
Alon,
door.
before you joined, I was like, Zirdig and Alondiel are gonna take shifts with their trances, even though we're aware someone guarding the door, someone trancing, and swap because we have enough time in a long rest to do that.
Right. You can all 4 be in a single room right now because Ore doesn't need any sleep like that. He just goes into his trance. And Mazeki likes to be in his ring when he sleeps, so if you all want to hang out in a single room, you can easily do that.
I don't
We'll
know
go
if
into the one that has a door still on it.
yeah.
There are several of those. There's only the one without the door on it.
Is there like a bigger suite that we can get if we're all four staying in the same room?
You could take over the room from the people that own the place and are running it again.
Wait, I thought they were
That-
dead. These are the new ones?
No, new people have come.
It's the family, yeah, has come.
Get out of your room. We're taking it. No, I don't think we would do that.
No, that's kind of a jerk move. It's just kick down the door.
I don't want
You
to
want
see
to
him.
end up like the other ones? Get out of here. That would be very rude.
Just send Elendil in there with his sign on his chest, like openly visible, and a weapon.
Cool. All right. So yeah, but like I was saying, even with all four of you, because Mizeki likes to sleep in his ring, it's gonna be fine. Because none of you really sleep, except for Mizeki. So plenty of space in a single room for the four of you. But you guys can split up if you would like, or
I feel like this is a DM setup. Are you going to drop a meteor on our room? Why do you want all four of us in a room at the same time?
You all fit into a 10 by 10 square.
you guys are the ones that are freaking out about being attacked and want to have people watching. So I figure getting you all together
I'm just messing
makes
with
that easier. I would prefer if you all, slept outside in the fog, about
I would
7,000 feet from each other. That'd be great.
imagine that we would probably stay with two to a room. That's what we've been doing for months, basically.
Okay.
So I don't think the characters would all group up. But what do you guys think?
I mean,
I mean, following the recent attack, it would not be unreasonable for Mizeki to stay in the same room.
right. And for Zerdig, last night was the only night you
Yeah.
weren't sleeping with everybody else.
I
Yes.
want to be
We
with
were
as
on
many
the road.
people as possible. So when the family I totally think is going to come for me, I won't be alone.
All right,
We should
sleepover time.
We should set up a tent in the middle of the room for Zerdig so that he feels comfortable because we've all slept intensely.
That's fine. Zerdig is not super enthused about this, but he's not opposed.
Okay.
So we all cram into a room.
Okay. So you all cram into your room. You all may take your long rests. Ito, did you have any hit points lost?
Don't think he fell,
He did
right?
not.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't.
Oh, I finally am back. I had to spend the last rest to get rid of the darn max hit point damage.
Yeah, and Ito, did Ore have any damage? Ore did not have any damage. So Ito, you wake up hungover, but no other ill effects. You still feel your energy drained, as does Ore when you wake up. But the morning is yours. So Sadzi, when you come down for breakfast, you are greeted, of course, by Duke and by Orion, and strangely by Ito.
Good morning. Ito, what are you doing here? You're not a Dampier.
Morning. Hi. I have a bit of a headache, so I will be limiting my usual volume. I don't entirely remember getting here.
We walked.
We did walk, yes.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna assume that whatever happened, there was probably booze involved. And
Yes.
I don't need to know.
Duke gives Orion a look. Orion kind of sheepishly avoids his gaze.
So, breakfast?
Yes. What would you like? Are you joining us on the hunt today?
Oh, that could be fun. Are any of y'all going?
No, neither me nor my brother will be going, but there are plenty of people that will be out and about. Although, if you go, I will go. And Orion goes, and I guess if
What
my
is,
brother is going, I'm going.
out of curiosity, what is this hunt for? And uh, I'm not certain whether I want to be allowed, given the current status of my head, but
It's just a hunt to secure meat and blood for everybody here.
okay, yes. I'm not certain whether my weapons tend to leave a lot of bleeding, so I feel like there would be some waste.
There's always a little bit of waste. You can't kill things with weapons without spilling a little bit of blood. Although not all of us use weapons.
You're just like, you don't
I mean-
understand. I have to sweep it across wildly and fling it into the stands.
I mean, couldn't you just bonk it over the head or something, Ito? But it's okay.
Well,
You do what you do.
yes, I will attempt to minimize the bleeding.
All right. The rest of you wake up in the morning down in your inn. Nothing seemed to happen in the middle of the night. You all got your long rest. Ore still feeling drained of energy. The fog is no longer in the part of town that you're in, so you're free to go out and explore.
Is there another exciting store or something I can visit?
What do you define as an
Visited-
exciting store?
Well, exciting in the context of what is available to me.
There's a general store.
General stores. I love general stores. They generally have things.
They do generally have things.
We probably should go check in on Sadzi at some point.
Mhm.
And Zirdig, upon learning that Ito is no longer here and stayed in the mist all night, very concerned.
Right. The general shop is called the Silly Ghost.
Perfect.
And they contain basically everything you can find in the equipment section of the player's handbook.
I need to top off on my art supplies, my paints and stuff.
Easy enough to do. Zerdig, you said you were very concerned because Ito is gone.
Yes,
Okay.
into the mist. So concerned that he might try and send Z2 in if he figured out where he's at, because he could have been anywhere.
Yeah, you don't necessarily know that's where he was at because you weren't out drinking with them. He just never came back from drinking with everybody else.
Ito, not Ito. I am not Ito. Zirdig will ask Elondil and Mizeki. Hey, where's Ito?
He went with Orion
What?
back to the place, the castle keep thingamabob.
The
I don't know
same
what goes on in
place?
the fog. It's scary.
The one that messed up Ore? The fog? Oh my, Ito! We've got to go get him. What if he's dead?
I mean, I assume he's not dead.
He's gonna
feel
face
like-
palm.
Ore made it
feel
back,
like
and
Orion
Ito's
would have
pretty
come and told
robust.
us.
Yeah.
Ore was in there for less than an hour.
Yeah, I
Ore
mean, I
was
told
in
him
there
it
for
wasn't a
less
good
than a
day.
minute.
So Zerdig will want to go and check on Ito.
Okay. So you enter into the fog then to go up
No,
into
he's
the
gonna
city?
go to the vicinity and send Z2 in.
Okay. And Z2 is fully a construct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me double check just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
the case.
It's not a living creature, right?
Yes, I use mending to repair it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You can send Z2 in.
Yes, confirmed. It is fully a construct
Okay.
mechanically.
Cool. Yeah. So not a living creature. Okay.
Yeah, and he'll just like scrawl something real quick, like a message, because Z2 can actually talk, I think. But anyway, he'll give him. It understands languages we speak. I don't think it can actually talk. He'll give him like a writ that's like looking for Ito, and then he'll see if Alondale can draw a picture of him, kind of like a wanted, like a reverse wanted poster, like a lost cat poster. Have you seen this Ito? Please contact almost a party.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that the Steel Defender, since it acts on its own turn and moves on its own turn and stuff, is probably intelligent enough to be able to walk around and follow instructions. Like, they probably won't walk in a manner that a humanoid, like an intelligent sentient humanoid, would walk. But if you ever think of like robots, trying to solve like a minesweeper, it's just going to systematically go into every room and try and find Ito.
Right. And basically stop and show the note that you give it to everybody it sees.
Yeah,
So,
and then follow directions if given them.
yeah. Okay. All right. So you send your construct off into the fog.
Yes, and if I have to, I can rebuild him later.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Ito and Sadzi, you guys are up there, and Duke and Orion have said that if you guys want to go on the hunt, that they will join you this time, although they weren't planning on going out on the hunt. So what would you like to do?
I'm kind of amused. And why not? It'll be fun to hunt.
Okay. All right. So you are going to go on to the hunt. What about you, Ito?
Yes, Ito wants to go on
Come
this
on.
hunt.
Okay.
Yay!
Ito is also going to go on the hunt. That is good to know. So after you guys enjoy your breakfast, eventually Orion and Duke lead you out of the manor down into the city. As you guys are making your way down the uh, streets, you see a construct holding up a piece of paper to a bunch of passerbys and just trying to like get their attention, and a lot of them just ignoring it and walking by. Eventually, as you get close, it turns and it holds up the piece of paper to you, which you see says, "Looking for Ito, lost Minotaur," and then it has a picture drawn of what Ito looks like.
I take the paper from Z2 and I look at it and then I start laughing and say, all he needs now is 20 gold reward.
Good boy, Z2. Good boy.
Do we?
Ito, meanwhile, is just kind of looking at Z2, then back at the paper, then back at Z2, like, is that... I haven't seen a mirror in a little bit. Is that...
Do we have a pen so we can send him back with a message that you're fine?
Do you have a pen in your gear?
Uh,
Or like a charcoal.
frantically looking at. Yeah. Worst case, what you do is you bite your lip and then you use your claw tip.
I'm sure
Right.
someone in
Yep,
this fancy
that's gonna-
mansion has a pen.
That's gonna have to be what we're doing. We have to write it in a claw dipped in our own blood because I don't think I have a pen.
Yeah.
And
No one
Ito
is-
certainly doesn't.
I mean, on the plus side, who knows? Maybe among other Dampier, this is considered flirting.
No one in this fancy mansion has a pen.
They're in the streets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not in the mansion. They're on the street.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. So if they
We
were
didn't
back in the
expect you
mansion,
to
yeah,
write something out
plenty.
out in
But
the middle of nowhere.
yeah. And they're not wizards, so they don't, always carry stuff on them to write things down. And they're not, Alandiel.
I'll say it's not just wizards. Everybody should have writing implements on them at all times.
They should.
They're
They really
incredibly
should.
useful.
And they
It's
should-
called a sharp fingernail in your own blood.
And they should take notes. So, it's always good. Okay. So after you guys take the note from Z2, what do you do? Do you give it instructions? Or do you just, take the note and leave Z2 there?
Take the note. Bite some area that I can dip a claw into and write, "He's fine. At estate, going on hunt." And then hand it back to Z2 and tell Z2, "All right, go find your dad."
I'm gonna roll to see if Z2 understands that.
Oh, I did. I rolled percentile.
Okay, great.
Z2
probably
finds
weigh a
you in
little
record
extra.
time.
Okay.
I rolled 100.
Father,
Yes.
Father, I bring news.
But I mean, what's Z2's speed?
Let me double
40.
check. I think it's 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he finds you faster than everybody else, but not that far behind him. Orion, Duke, Sadzi, and Ito emerge from the mist. But you definitely get the note probably about a full minute before they emerge.
Awesome. Yeah, and it is 40.
Yeah. As the rest of them aren't quite that fast.
So Zirdig would share the note with everybody else since he probably reads it in a couple seconds and then is like, oh, they're going on the hunt. And then a minute later, they're here. Hello.
Orion goes, "Hello. Last night was fun. It was good talking with you all. Although, you weren't there. And you weren't there." And he points at Zerdig and Ore. "You missed out. It was good times."
You, sir, are quite perceptive, Zirdig will say to him.
Slightly lower volume, please, today.
Uh,
Many ales.
Duke opens up and he goes, "Ito and Sadzi have decided to join in on our hunt today. Would the rest of you like to come? Usually it's every few days we go out into the forest and we hunt some creatures to bring back for meat and blood for the city."
What kind of creatures? Zirdig asks.
Vengeance.
Whatever we can find in there that's living. Mostly animals, but there are a few other things in there from time to time.
Wait, is the fog over the forest?
Yes, it is.
And the animals are still alive? Or is it often there are not many animals?
There's not that many animals, but they exist in there. They're just not normal.
I want to do like an insight check to make sure this isn't like the most dangerous game where they're like inviting us to hunt and then hunt us.
Okay.
When we say the animals aren't normal, we mean they're people.
24.
Okay. Let me send you secret messages.
Poor Ito's like, I'm going on the hunt, and he's the prey. They're like, get him.
I mean, would Ito really mind? He'd be like, this is great.
Seriously, it's not that different from his gladiatorial days.
I mean, no, it's basically the same, just with more magic.
I'd try to defend you anyway. And if I defend you, Duke will defend you. If Duke defends you, Orion will defend you. See? It
What
works.
if the Duke is like, if you kill Ito, we can get married and you can live forever?
I like to hope that Orion would side with Ito after the night before.
Would she have to kill him though, or just turn him as well?
I don't know. Maybe turn him.
That'd
He has
probably
to
be easier.
join the army.
All right. So message sent to you, Alondiel, about what you get
Got
from
it.
your insight.
That's what I thought it was. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't like I don't trust these people.
hmm And so Duke just looks at the rest of you and goes, "So, would you like to come out? I fully understand if you do not wish to come in, staying away from the fog. But I'm told one of you has a very weak constitution. The rest of you, though, should be fine."
That's probably
Can-
me.
While Zerdig was tinkering, obviously the fog is a deal here. Can he make like respirator masks for people? I mean, not retroactively, but like in the future.
You could, but you already know that won't matter because Ore doesn't breathe.
True. What is up with this cursed fog? Darn folly. All right, that's what Zerdig thinks while this conversation goes on. He doesn't even acknowledge the rest of it.
Right. Yeah, the people in the town thought that, Ore might be fine because he doesn't breathe. Because they haven't had a forged here before, so they didn't know. All right. So,
I am not going anywhere near the fog.
okay.
I'm gonna flip a coin.
Okay.
But coin flipping's not turned on. Give me a sec. Where's the channel that I can actually do that in? Here
Just
we go.
roll a d2.
I got heads. I'll go in.
Okay.
Why not?
Can
So-
I if Mizeki says he's going, can I just be like, no, I don't want you setting one hoof into that and
I
getting
feel
grievously wounded.
I feel excluded. I feel like I will turn back if there's a problem. Because we've already seen two people in our party have kind of recovered from it, right?
They still
After
feel
a
like
very
their energy
brief-
is drained, but like
Yeah.
you've seen no ill effects of the fog other than that they seem to lack
F-
energy.
From a very brief excursion. So okay, fair. I will try it and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I will also internally mentally consult the great Polaris
Okay.
and ask him if he can shield me from it. Maybe like a little wind dome around me or something.
I will sigh and roll my eyes at this.
I mean, you don't hear that part because it's internal, but
No, just at you saying you want to come along.
I'm bored.
I imagine Ore will stay back with Alondiel. What about Zerdik? Are you going in?
1000% not. Nope.
Okay.
He's just like standing there. He's already said no, and now he's doing calculations on respirator masks in his mind, and then trying to figure out how he can make it work, even though it didn't work for Ori.
All right. So yeah. So for those of you that are going in, Duke and Orion lead you to the exit to the city from here, and then begin leading you back towards the forest. At the edge of the forest, you come up on a group of about 10 other individuals here who are all waiting at the edge of the forest. A few of them are actually already under the cover of the forest, but the group is there. As you approach, they all begin to cheer and clap because it's not very often that the Harringtons come on this hunt, and you can hear them talking about how it's going to be a major haul all today with the two Harringtons coming. As they go on, they lead you into the forest. Mazeki, as you step into the forest and the fog surrounds you, you do feel the burst of wind come up that you asked for, but it doesn't seem to be able to repel the fog, as it is everywhere. So I'm going to need you to go ahead and make a Constitution save.
All right. Give me just a second. I'm gonna do it in streaming bots because for some reason my dice rolling isn't turning on.
Fun.
That's the wrong person. Did that work? It did not, I don't think.
I see
It
you got a
clearly said-
17.
Okay, did it send it?
Yep.
It did, cool.
So, yeah. So you do feel like you're losing some energy. So for you, your healing is reduced by half.
Sadness.
Okay. So you guys continue on moving into the forest, and the group begins to split up and go different ways. Do you guys want to each go off on your own? Do you want to go off with the three of you? Do you want to try and stay with the Harringtons? How do you want to go about it?
I'm gonna stick with the fancy people. Because that way, if I collapse, I can be carried.
Okay.
If I experience the vapors, as they call it.
Okay.
Oh, come on. I think we should make this interesting. Make it a wager or something.
You can have a wager challenge between you and the gentlemen.
Ooh, but what would we wager?
2,000
There's-
gold.
Okay, that's a little rich for my blood.
I don't think we have 2,000 gold between us at the moment.
There's only a couple ways I can think of ways to earn 2,000 gold, and I'm not sure I want to pursue those options.
I have 111 gem candy and 24 gold.
Let me see what I got.
I have an
What
amount
if-
of silver. I don't know how much I spent.
What if we wager a favor? Obviously, our ability to reciprocate favors is not quite balanced, given some of us are in charge of nations and others are not. But if we allow right of refusal, I think that's fair.
Sure, and whatever, I guess first pick of whatever game is brought in. Well, what do you think, Duke? Orion?
The game is shared by the city. So the first pick of game is not an option. We aren't hunting for ourselves, we're hunting for our people. So the first pick is out. I
Favor?
have no favors that I would need of you.
That you can think of right now. We can go places and destabilize governments and investigate things that you don't have time to investigate.
I don't have time to investigate a lot these days.
And we are very good at investigating.
There is one thing that I would like, but only from really one of you.
I think Ito is not willing to get married right now.
I
Give
would
me
Why not? You have a
day to
ring
think it
already.
over.
I would love it if Sadzi would stay. It's nice to have new people around. And good people.
Yes, but if I stayed, then I wouldn't be new very long. But I suppose it'll depend on who wins. Unless, of course, you're not that confident that you'll win.
Oh, I know that I will win. You heard everybody cheering as me and my brother came.
Right.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard me.
Oh, we heard you.
That was actually through Sadzi, or was my mic open?
I think it was through Sadzi, but we heard you.
Perfect.
I mean, from where I'm standing, they're barely breathing hard. But, well, we'll see. Perhaps I could extend our stay a little longer, or perhaps I could stay and meet up with the party later. We'll see.
How about this? If my brother and I win, you stay in Harrington as your new home. You can continue to go out occasionally with your friends. You'll stay at least until the King's End Festival this year. Just a few months. And from there you can decide. If you win, 5,000 gold for your party.
That seems entirely fair. All right, then.
You do not
Excuse
get to
you?
make that decision.
I didn't make the decision. I just said it seems fair.
Ito puts a hand on Mizeki's shoulder, though he actually misses the first time.
So
You're not being forced into the situation. I think that those are perhaps not immediately equal to you, but they're both reasonable things, yes.
no, I'm just thinking there. If there's a portal here, am I allowed to use it? Can I go to Drusus? Can I go wherever I want? Because that might really cut down on our transportation costs. Not gonna lie.
While you're here, you can easily use the portal, as you coming in won't have any ill effects on yourself. You probably don't want to bring all of your friends, as clearly 3 of them did not want to come. They did not wish to risk the fog. So them traveling there. But you, yes. While you are living here, if you need to go someplace, you can use our mages. They will take you where you need to go and bring you back when you are done.
It would add an extra reason to investigate the fog.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but 5,000 gold.
That's a lot of gold.
That's a lot.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's fair. It seems fair. You have to decide still, because obviously it's for you. But
Sure. Why not? They didn't call me the Sharp Fang for nothing.
Okay. So this is going to be Duke and Orion versus the 3 of you for this bet. So, what I would like you to do is each of you make a survival check to begin with, and then we'll go from there.
All right, 16.
19 total.
I got a 12.
Okay. So Ito and Sadzi, as you guys are making your way through the forest, you each come across a set of tracks that are pretty obvious. So Ito, you come across a set of tracks that seems to be canine. And Sadzi, yours seems to be a hoofed creature of sorts. Which way would you like to pursue?
Is one set of the tracks bigger than the other?
The canine tracks are much larger.
Are we going for more individual creatures killed or weight?
Should have been something you asked to clarify first.
Dang it!
Just remember the
No.
bison's like 200 pounds and you can only carry like 60.
Yeah, and we will have to caulk the wagon.
Now, conventional wisdom, and by conventional wisdom I mean the wisdom of being a gladiator for the gods only know how many years, says fight the biggest thing, because most people will be impressed by that, regardless of whether it was the most difficult.
I mean, it's almost certainly about what thing provides the most food.
Yeah,
Yes, if this is about food, that might be the best.
but are we going to spend more time trying to kill whatever this canine thing is? Or would we be better served to go check out whatever the hoof thing is and then come back for the canine thing?
I'm
Hoofed
not
things
certain.
tend to be better eating than canines. You don't.
This
Yes.
is true. Anything.
Ungulates.
I mean, let's face it, predators tend to be more gamey.
Yes, but now I may be misunderstanding things, but I thought it was the blood, not the. I don't know these
It's
things. I'm
both.
sorry. Ah, it's both. Okay, that makes it slightly different.
Both parts are used, so.
Tell you what. Hopefully, this will make it easier to find our way back here. And Ito is going to find a tree near these tracks and tie his ever-burning torch to it.
Okay.
Please don't set the trees on fire.
It's not an actual
No,
flame.
no, this one doesn't actually start fires. I keep it separate from the others so that I don't get confused.
Okay, legit. Which one?
Hooves.
I suppose the hoofed one makes more sense, as you said.
Alright, let's go for it.
Okay.
We go.
All right. So with your survival check, Sadzi, you're able to track this hoofed creature. Or it takes you a couple of minutes, and you see up ahead in a small little clearing there is a giant elk that is there and is grazing. But you notice that large parts of its flesh are missing, and its fur is definitely torn and ripped in pieces, with some of it just completely being missing, and it's just straight flesh there, no outer pelt.
Does it look like it's injured or diseased?
It looks like it's diseased.
Abort! Abort! Abort!
All right. Next.
Yes, that does not look terribly good. I can't suspect there would be much blood in there. No, there's so much missing.
I just don't want to bring back something that could potentially get someone ill.
Yes, this is also true. Okay, so let us find the torch.
Okay. I would like you to all make stealth checks as you turn to leave and walk away from this thing.
$12.
12, even with disadvantage from the armor.
21.
Okay. So as you all begin to move away, Sadzi and Ito, as you're going through, you step on a branch and it snaps, and you hear the sounds of the creature, or as it whips around and begins running towards you, and you see that it's got sharp teeth for what would normally be a prey animal. It shouldn't have sharp teeth like this, and you can see that it's got basically a dead look in its eyes as it comes rushing over to you. I would like you all to go ahead and roll initiative.
Great, we have a giant zombie elk.
A Zelk, as they call it. Oh, I'm technically at advantage.
I think I just got a nat 20. What's B?
Yeah.
Yep, that's a nat 20.
Nice.
I've got an
You
8
rolled a
total.
B. We begin the spelling bee phase. If you win, you get to go first.
Okay. Yeah. So Sadzi, it looks like you're 23. Mizeki a 14 and Ito an 8. So Sadzi, you are up first. This giant elk is just rushing at you. What would you like to do?
How close is it to me?
At this point, it's about 30 feet away.
Okay. Can I just firebolt it for now?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, roll to hit.
I rolled an 8.
8 total.
Oh, sorry. 8 plus 7, so 15.
15. 15 hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
15.
15 damage. Okay. So it sears in, and you can see that more of the pelt begins to burn away, and some of the flesh just begins to slough off of the creature to the ground as it burns. It is up
Ew.
next. It is going to continue charging at you, and it is going to try and ram you with its antlers. That is a 12. Does a 12 hit Sadzi?
12 does not hit.
Okay, so it misses there, and then it's going to rear up onto its hind legs and then try and hit you with its hooves. That is a 22, so I think that one will hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
All right.
Interception.
Okay, what's that do?
I'm gonna roll 1d10 plus 3, and the damage it deals will be reduced by that.
Okay.
A whopping 1 plus 3.
So 4?
4, yes.
Okay. So it deals 20 points of damage to you. That gets reduced by 4, so down to 16.
Alrighty then.
And then it is Mizeki's turn.
All right, I will blast it.
Okay.
Do I want to hex it? No, I don't want to do necrotic damage, so I'm just gonna blast. Does a 15 hit it?
Yes, it does.
Ciao. I do 10 damage.
Okay. And then second Eldritch Blast.
Oh god, that's not Eldritch Blast, that's a dagger. 18, so 5 damage.
Okay.
So,
How do you want to do this?
focusing mainly on like its head. I'm trying not to hit the main body. I don't want to blow up too much of the meats, if there is any at all.
Mhm.
Even if it is diseased, we can bring it and be like, "Hey, does this work?" Because I don't know what the disease is. I'm gonna just finger guns him right to death.
Okay. So as you deal the elk, as it comes down after hitting Sadzi with its hoofs, so you hit it with 2 Eldritch Blasts, and it just keels over at her feet.
Woo!
Ito's sort of standing there with his spear stuck in the ground to stabilize it, and he just looks like, I didn't even get to... Oh, wow. Okay.
It's fine. We gotta go after the dog thing. It's
Yeah. You'll probably get to go first next time. We'll see.
Yes. Now, are we bringing this, or are we just going to...
That's a good question. I don't know.
I
Hey,
feel
Mizeki,
like
can you store this in your special ring thingy?
no. I can only go into it once a day, and I'm not keeping a diseased animal in there all day. Plus, we wouldn't be able to show it to them. We'd just be like, "Oh yeah, we totally killed all these things and stored them in this magical space you can't see."
This is true. We
How-
really should have brought the bag.
Yeah, we should have.
Yes. But it wouldn't fit in the bag anyway. The bag's not that big.
Can we
You
drag
don't
it?
know
How
these
heavy
things.
is it?
It is about 500 pounds.
How much can you carry, Ito? I can carry 360, and I'm carrying 80, so I have 280 available. What if we chop its head off?
I
Its
mean,
head was missing a bunch of them.
Ito's drag capacity is 600.
Well, yeah, but when you're dragging, that's 5 feet per turn.
Yes, his normal carry capacity is 300, so we can cut it in half.
Do we think we could reasonably chop off like the upper shoulder / head, and have Ito carry that, and I can carry the rest?
Yeah, you
Well,
can.
I can carry a little over 100.
Yeah, and you guys can take
Yeah.
whatever time you want to butcher these things to make it easier to move.
Yeah, but we're still on like there is a time limit here, right? Kind of like,
Well,
Mhm.
we don't want to lose too much of the blood.
Right.
yeah.
Yes, do we actually Ito is gonna make a quick cut on it just to see how much it bleeds, to see how much blood is in there, because it doesn't look like it really has the best functioning
That's true.
systems.
So,
It
so
does appear to be missing parts.
right. So this one doesn't have a lot of blood in it. When you do cut into it, what little bit of blood does come out is very thick, almost syrup-like in consistency, and gives off a putrid smell and is green.
Ew.
So judging by that reaction, we don't need to bring this back, we can just move on, right?
I don't know. Should we drag it to the torch and at least we could get it counted in our bag, if nothing else, even if it's not useful.
I don't feel like it counts. But we can try.
Fine.
Yes, let's bring it to the torch and go from there.
Okay.
Perhaps hide it near the torch, because, if someone else were to stumble across our very obvious beacon.
Can I just take out my dagger and like carve my name into its rump?
Sure.
There you go.
That also works. That's probably faster.
Sadzi was here.
Sadzi was here. All right. Okay, so everybody go ahead and give me a new survival check to go and track down your next creature.
16.
Okay.
I'm not helping. I got a 5. I'm still confused
And
about the thing that was like it appeared mostly dead, but was it undead? Maybe it's alive. I don't know. What classification was that animal that we killed?
You
Kill
know.
first. Worry later.
yeah, Ito's got a 10 total.
Okay. All right. So Ito and Mizeki, you guys are not able to find any new sets of tracks, but you're following through with Sadzi, who is a very accomplished hunter. And she leads you down and she finds a set of canine tracks about as large as the ones that Ito had previously found, that you guys decided not to follow when you went after the hoofed creature. As you begin making your way through it, you see there is a small dead deer in the middle of a small clearing of trees, and you can see flesh just being ripped off of it from your angle. And then as the flesh comes up, you can see a pair of eyes looking out at you, and you can tell that in the shape there that very much fits into the bushes, there is what appears to be a wolf of sorts, but its fur is very much camouflaged into the surrounding bushes and trees so that it is not easily spotted.
gonna attack it.
I'm
Okay.
all for going at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have everybody go ahead and roll a new set of initiative to see who goes first. And go ahead and make stealth checks, and we'll see if you get surprise on this creature.
All right. 21 for both of those.
Okay.
12 for stealth, 18 for it.
16 initiative, 17 stealth.
Okay. So Ito and Sadzi, you guys are successfully hidden from it. So you guys will get to act in the surprise round. But it does notice a certain smell in the air and looks up and makes contact with Mizeki. You got a 21 on initiative. You are definitely up first again. So you may take your action. What would you like to do?
Okay.
Nothing else.
Let's start with a firebolt because that shouldn't really depend how close I am to it.
Okay.
As long as I can still see it.
Right, yeah, you can see it.
14
14 will hit.
for a measly 3 points of damage.
Okay, 3 points of fire damage. All right, and then Mizeki is up, but we'll skip over you since nothing for you to do. Ito.
About how far was it, sir?
From you guys at this point, it's about 60 feet.
Okay. Ito is going to charge. He's gonna dash and then action surge.
Okay. So you get up next to this creature, and you can see that it is a huge wolf as you are now next to it. It is twice the size of you.
So as he gets right up in front of it, he is turning his book into a spear and beginning to work.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
When you say twice the size of me, it is large size, correct?
No, it is huge.
Crap. That means I can't shove it. I can't do my cool thing. 20 to hit.
20 will hit.
That'll be 7 damage on the first swing.
Okay.
And an 18 to hit
Okay. That will hit as well.
for another 7.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
And the bonus action was turning his book into a sword or
Okay.
a spear.
All right. It is now its turn, but it's wasted, so that brings us back to the top. So, Sadzi.
Let's firebolt it again.
Okay.
So 21 to hit
21 hits.
and 12 damage.
Okay. Anything else?
If it's where it could easily charge at me, I move out of the way a little bit.
It could charge at you, but it's got an Ito in its face.
Cool, I'm safe then.
So, okay. Mizeki.
I'm gonna shoot some bolts of blast at it.
Okay.
First one's a 20. I'm just gonna roll them both to hit.
Okay.
The second one is a nat 1, so it doesn't matter. Chow.
The 20 hits, though.
So 4 damage plus I think I get my bonus from my magical friend, but I don't know how much it is.
I think it's like
and
2.
I don't have a roll for it.
I
Yeah.
believe it's your proficiency bonus.
It's a,
So it would be
of
3.
course it's not a rollable. Hold on.
Yeah, it's because it's probably just something flat.
Yeah, 3 extra thunder damage.
Okay, yeah, so it's just your proficiency bonus. Okay,
It is. Yep.
cool.
So 7 total. 3 of it is thunder.
Got it. All right,
Yeah, that's me.
Ito. It is your turn.
Ito is gonna stab it 2 more times.
Okay.
And for the audience, yes, he is attempting to shove it. It's just not going well.
All right, stab away.
Realistically, he should just be two-handing his weapon, but at this point,
24 will hit.
24. That'll be 8 damage.
Okay.
And an 18
18 will hit.
for 9 damage. Nice. We're slowly increasing.
Okay. All right, and then Sadzi and Mizeki, you guys didn't move any closer to it, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
All right. So in that case, I need Ito to make a Constitution save as it breathes in and then releases this deep guttural howl.
I thought it was gonna breathe fire.
It was gonna stop on a 16 and it rolled over to a 3, so a 10 total.
Okay. So with that, you are frightened and you take 7 points of psychic damage. And then it is going to slash at you with its paws. Does a 16 hit?
That'll be a miss.
Okay. And a 10 will also miss then. Okay. And that will take us back to the top of the round.
Question. Is this creature an aberration or undead? Anything odd like that?
You don't know. You can make a check to kind of try and see if you can determine what it is.
That would count as an action, would it not?
Yes.
Okay. Never mind.
Okay. All right. But it is your turn, so.
Right. More firebolts. Probably safer to stay at a bit of a distance.
Okay.
20 to hit
20 will hit.
and 11 damage.
11 damage. Okay. Anything else?
No, not unless I can do investigation as a bonus action, which I don't think I can.
Nope. Mizeki, you are up.
All right. I am going to. If I hide or steady aim, does that only apply to one of the bolts, or does it apply to both?
It would only apply to the first one.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'll steady aim, and so the first one is at advantage. Of course, I rolled a 17 and an 18 because that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, of course. So 25 will hit.
Yeah, so 9 damage
Okay.
total, and then the regular one is also an 18 total. So yeah, more damage. Another 8 damage.
Okay. How do you want to do this?
I want to pretend that the thunder damage is what did it because it makes me feel better emotionally in my heart.
Did you add the thunder damage onto the first attack?
I did.
Then yes, the thunder damage did it.
Excellent. Even better. So blast it right in the face because that's the best place to shoot animals.
Okay.
And then the extra burst of thunder that seems to kind of emit from his ring and then appear on the enemy just boop, pops his face, and then he's done.
Okay. All right. So this massive wolf now lies at your feet, Ito.
Ito sort of pauses for half a second, turns and just nods to Mazeki, and now he's going to very quickly check how well this one bleeds.
Okay.
How big is it?
So it's huge. It's twice the size of Ito and is roughly the same size as the elk, but is fully intact.
Well, that's going to be fun to drag somewhere.
Yeah. You're looking at about 1,000 pounds in total for this guy.
Yeah, Ito's nearly 7 feet, so twice his size is getting concerning.
Yeah.
So, do we have a way to mark this spot? Like, so we could come back to it? Preferably with somebody else's tools? And drag this somewhere? Or.
Ito would generally suggest that we just bring it back now.
Can we, though? That's my concern.
I mean, Mazeki can drag quite a bit. And so
Ito
can
can drag
Ito.
like half this thing's weight, yeah.
I can drag it back, and you guys start out maybe and see if you can find anything. Do we have the stone pairs? We would have brought, I feel like, at least another stone pair with us.
Well, you
We didn't
only
think about
have
any of this.
one pair.
Yeah.
And so Ore would have
I
the other
have
one.
I have the destination, and Ori has the starting one. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Screw it. Why don't we have Sadzi look for more tracks while me and Ito track it back?
Okay. By
Yes,
the
that
time
sounds
you
good.
get this back, that is going to be the end of the hunt.
Oh, well, then we'll just do
So,
that. That makes sense.
yes.
Yes, I suspect 1,000 pounds of meat must be good for something.
Mm-hmm.
Can I keep looking for anything that might cross our paths as they're dragging the wolf back to our beacon?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a survival check.
Well, that's gonna be a 7.
Okay. Yeah, you don't find anything else on your way back. But eventually, as they reach there, the other hunters return with their loads, and you can see floating on a disc about 3 feet off the air is a creature being pulled behind Duke, and then another one being pulled behind Orion about the same size.
They're under 500 pounds.
We might have won if we get both of these back, if they count both of them.
I don't think one of them, fortunately.
As they go, you got the wolf. Impressive. He's killed several hunters in the past. Well done.
He was certainly sneaky. We almost did spot him.
He camouflages well. He's not the only, but he's definitely one of the largest ones here.
I'd like to act very nonchalant and then like stumble over my feet and start limping.
What?
What?
Are you okay?
I did hurt myself, you know.
That's fair. Oh, you're playing it up. Okay.
I meant to do that.
Yeah, Duke runs over. Are you okay?
It's just a flesh wound.
Looks like that wouldn't have come from the wolf. Did you get something else?
There was
I told you we should have brought the elk, Ito.
yes, there was an elk.
There was like a
though
diseased elk?
yes, it was.
It didn't look like it had
practically
useful blood or meat, really.
It was falling off the bone and not in the good way.
We were actually just going to leave it alone, but it attacked us as we tried to leave.
Hey, bag is still bag.
Yes. Occasionally we'll have creatures like that in the forest. We think it's from prolonged exposure to the fog. They become undead and feral, unnatural. Some
Has that
creatures turn much faster than others.
has that ever happened to a person when they change? Did they become feral?
People become feral. That is why we keep an eye on any that become undead.
That makes sense.
Those that cannot control their hunger, they go feral. So the elk, you're right, not entirely usable, but probably some we can pull off of it. And the wolf, good. Overall, yes, you definitely won. Congratulations. We
Thank you.
will
Is this
take.
enough, by the way?
Oh, plenty. And you can see
Excellent.
the other hunters all have small game that they've brought in around. Each of them carrying just like a regular sized deer or elk. Some of them have several like small rabbits and things tied around as well. You notice a few of them seem to have more predator features than prey, um, but not all of them. And you guys return to town with the food in tow. Um, you are taken in through the back entrance that leads directly into the city proper, where it's constantly covered in mist that's directly connected to the forest. Um, they didn't have you come in this way initially because they wanted to give Mizeki a chance to back out before going into the fog. But you guys
And
are
yet
led
Mizeki
in.
did the kills.
Yep. You guys are led in. They take you back to the Harrington estate where Orion goes back into their treasury and then comes out with a small little chest and hands it to Sadzi. He goes, "Your winnings."
Thank you. Wait, wasn't Alondio handling all of the funds?
Yeah, he has the party group.
Yeah, and
funds.
he's also not here because he didn't
Man,
want
now
to
I have to
touch
be
the fog.
responsible. Mm,
Yeah. So we'll get it back to him. It'll be fine.
Okay, as long as it's safe.
We're rich.
Woohoo!
Again. Woohoo.
So, thank you for helping us with our hunt.
Clearly, it was our pleasure.
Yes, you did well. Clearly, you are formidable.
Here's a question that might be of interest to you. I know that Sadzi is not required to stay, but is she still welcome, and are the rest of us welcome to be nearby? Because it does seem like there's a lot of knowledge here, and if you are close to events that may need to be handled, it seems like a reasonable place to return to.
As we told Sadzi last night, she is always welcome here. The rest of you may not feel so welcome here, but you are always welcome to come.
It's better than endless night. I mean, I don't necessarily want to spend months or whatnot in the fog. I do feel a bit peckish, stretched. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem terrible for just a short while.
Well, I think it's one of those things maybe you'll get used to it.
I hope not. Not because I think that being used to it would be particularly bad, but it is one of those things that when you're familiar and comfortable with the horrible fog that potentially kills people, that probably means a lot of other much worse things are happening.
Okay. So, do you guys want to stay up in the city proper, or go return to your friends in the city entrance?
I'm gonna go back to the main group. I
Okay.
think just not kind of risk getting more harm, and
Okay.
also I need to convey what's happened.
Okay. Sadzi and Ito, what about you two?
Isn't there gonna be a feast? I'm gonna be wherever the food is.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, Ito at least wants part of this wolf.
Okay. So there's not going to be a massive feast. This is food for days for people. Um, they tend not to do massive feasts, but there will be food. So Mazeki, you return to the others. Zerdig and Alondiel, what do you guys and Ore want to do while everybody else is off at this hunt? You have about 2 hours worth of time to cover.
Zerdig wants to try and make some of these masks as a prototype. I mean, he's not super confident he'll nail all the problems first try, but can he go to some stores and get some parts necessary, or is it something he's gonna have to like craft on his own out here because they don't have any artificer supply chain?
I mean, you can go to the general store, so the Silly Ghost has a lot of just general supplies that you can pick up. So,
Cool. Well, he will get the supplies and start tinkering. I don't suppose that he'll be done in 2 hours, so that's just what he does to fill the time, and then offline, off screen, we can talk about it, and then I can reveal it next time.
okay. Alondiel?
If Ore was down for it, I'd probably continue to poke around with him at the condition the fog leaves
Okay.
on people.
What do you have to poke around with it?
I don't know. Maybe make some like religion or in medicine checks.
Okay.
Maybe some history to see what we can learn about the whatever Grandpa Harrington did.
Okay.
Let's actually that. Try and look and see if I can figure out anything on what
Okay.
was the origin of the fog.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and make your history check.
15.
Okay. So with your 15, you know basically what Orion told you last night, that his grandfather was responsible for this, and it was part of the Age of Folly. So around the same time that all of the other dangers in the world hurled and all the tragedies that happened in the world were caused, this would have happened around the same time. So when Utra fell, when Typhon's Folly, when the frozen wasteland froze over, when Helena's Folly had its weather changed, all of those things happened during the Age of Folly. But as far as what specifically caused it, you know that the Folly was a bunch of people pissed off the Divines, and so the Divines said, well, here you go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Ore knows nothing about it. I rolled
And then
history for them.
maybe make like a medicine check on Ore.
A medicine check will not help you with
Oh, that's right,
anything with the
because he's
fog.
not a person. Anyways, yeah.
Well, no,
I am.
he's a person. Medicine would help you
Yeah.
if medicine would help you with this
Well,
thing.
as in like an organic. He's a
Yeah,
It's funny as hell.
he's
Basically,
non-blood. He's a construct thing. is what
basically,
I'm getting
medicine
at.
has told you that medicine wouldn't be helpful.
yeah, like it is not a
Nothing, not a physical
yeah.
ailment.
It's
caused
not
by
a
not a
disease or
natural.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So medicine would not be useful.
We do want to test out maybe in the space between if protection from good and evil helps.
Okay. How do you want to test that out?
I feel like
Hmm.
phase one's cast it on someone that's suffering in some way, so I think that's only Mizeki right now.
And
And
Ore.
then
Ito
He's
also
already
has the
still.
same effect
Oh
as
yeah.
Yeah,
Mizuki
and
right
Ito's
Oh
now.
yeah. Okay.
quote
That's right.
unquote
Ito and
hangover.
Ori are still both messed up. Okay, so one of the three of us, and then maybe try going back out into the fog at night. See if it immediately gets worse.
Okay.
Some science. We'll send Ito. He's tough.
Okay.
The results are skewed by his amazing constitution saves.
Right. Well, Ito also is still up in town waiting on food, so he did not come.
I will, by the way, give them the stone since I'm going to be with the rest of the group.
Okay.
Cool.
So, like, if they need to call us up in the middle of the night and be like, "Yo, the Duke is killing us. Help!"
Got it. All right. Is there anything else specific that you guys want to do for this day? Other than that, they're going to invite you all up to partake in some of the meal. But it sounds like Alondiel and Ore and Zerdig won't go into this miss no matter what. So
Yeah, I'm gonna generally avoid going back into it at this point
okay,
for at least a day until I've recovered.
okay,
We're gonna treat it like getting sunburned.
all right.
We yeah, okay. I guess I could cast protection from good and evil on you. I don't think it'll be sufficient, but I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's we'll test it, but I don't want to risk severe. Is Ito going to the eating thing, or is Ito staying with us?
Ito stayed up there with
Ito
the
is
food.
Yeah, Ito stayed up.
Yeah. So Ito and Sadzi, you guys get some of the wolf since that's specifically what you requested. It tastes pretty good.
So what did Duke and Orion bring in?
So they brought in smaller wolves. One of them was a smaller wolf, didn't have the same kind of camouflaging that yours did. And behind Orion, they had a large elk. So all in all, they brought in about 700 pounds of food. So like you guys kicked their trash, but I rolled like 10 on their survival checks. It happens.
Thank God I wasn't leading them. They would have gotten like a 5.
Yeah.
We're lost.
Yeah, I rolled low. They're both trained in it, but it
I have
happens.
a +6 survival, so
Yeah.
anywho,
Yeah, besides the science, I can't think of anything else immediate.
nope. I'm just gonna gorge myself on meat and blood and all those yummy things.
Okay. Easy enough to do. If there's nothing else that you guys would like to do for this evening, you may all go ahead and take another long rest. Those of you that are afflicted by the fog still feel energy drained when you wake up in the morning. And I think we're close to our 3 hours, so we'll go ahead
Yep.
and end there. Because depending on what you guys want to do, will determine how much more time we would need, and I really don't know. So
Yeah, we'll figure it out before next session.
yeah, I feel like this is a good ending point. So
Yeah.
all right, well, thanks everybody for watching and for listening, for hanging out, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.